Hello YouTube. This is my first and what I hope is a series of videos detailing how you can have a vegetable garden year-round if you happen to live in an area that you can't grow outside year-round. What you see in the foreground is a rocket mass stove. There are many videos on YouTube and online period on how to build a rocket mass stove. Most of those videos show you how to build utilizing a building technique known as cob. Cob is a wonderful technique. It's just straw, clay, sand, and water mixed together to form the mass of your stove. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to utilize cob, especially if you're building a large structure like I was doing. I utilized a building technique known as dirtcrete. That's 14 parts dirt, 2 parts Portland cement, and water enough to make the consistency you're looking for, whether it's really wet or really dry. That's the mass of my stove, my rocket mass stove, and the floor itself. I'll run through the basic parts of the rocket mass stove. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is just my version of the wheel. The first part is the feed tube. It goes down to the burn chamber, which runs horizontally to the heat riser, which is inside this 55-gallon drum. The gases rise, they cool, they fall between the chimney and the drum, and they exit through flue pipes in your mass, heating your mass as they go. They exit the building and come out as nothing but steam. There is no smoke. All the smoke gets burned up in the top part of the barrel. You may notice the rust portion here. This is where the hottest part of the fire is located. There's a mass vortex here that burns up all the smoke and all the particulates as they cool and fall and exit the pipe itself. My primary reason for putting this video out today is to show you, one, the rocket mass stove that heats my 15 by 20 greenhouse, and also the light setup that I have to light my 15 by 20 greenhouse. Now you can go the expensive route and get yourself all kinds of full spectrum bulbs and wire them in and use electricity, or you can spend a little money and go the cheap route in the long run, which is a solar setup. Mine I happen to purchase from Harbor Freight Tools. It's the 3-panel 45-watt solar setup, and in that setup you get these lights. Get rid of these lights. They don't produce enough light to have photosynthesis occur in your plants. Instead, what you want to do is go to an auto parts store or Walmart and get an LED bar. You can get I got the bright blue LED bars. Those are almost full spectrum light, and they're incredibly intense. They're the under bumper accent lights that you see on the little kids rides that they cruise around on the streets with, those bright things. They come in packs of 2, and based on your setup you can have 1 setup or 2 setups. I'll be getting another set of 2 this year to brighten up the darker corners of my greenhouse. But like I said, the lights themselves just enough to make photosynthesis occur in your plants, extending your growing season. The other thing you need is heat, which is what the rocket mass stove does. Provides heat through its direct burn and through the mass itself. I will very gently pick up the camera here so as not to make you dizzy, and bring you over to show you the rest of the mass of the rocket mass stove. You can see more of my plants here. and gently down. There we are. Now I will pan down and show you the rest of the mass. This is approximately 10 feet from start to finish where it exits my greenhouse. And then you will notice these pots here on this wooden structure. This is gutter gardening. A huge thank you to Larry Hall of Brainerd and all of his YouTube instructional videos on how to build a gutter garden. Watch his videos. Fantastic stuff. Love you, Larry. What I have is a short piece of gutter here on top of my mass. My mass is heating, which in turn keeps my plants heated, not so hot as to kill them, but hot enough to keep them alive. I will pan over to the floor of my greenhouse. By virtue of the fact that my mass is the same material as my floor is also heated, although not as much as the mass. It's enough to keep my plants alive and thriving through the winter months. I have a number of plants in my greenhouse. Because they're in these pots, I can move them outside to the gutters in the spring and summer and early fall. And when it gets a little too cold outside at night, I move them back in to continue their growth. It is the middle of October, practically, and you can see peppers on my pepper plants. This is an Anaheim pepper here. This plant is a 2-year-old plant. There is no reason that plants cannot continue to produce past their 1-year cycle. The only thing that kills them is lack of light and cold. If you keep enough light on them and keep them warm, they will survive. I also have a number of 2-year-old tomato plants which are off to my left here. I will come over and zoom in right here. This tomato right here is a 2-year-old Oxheart tomato. Next to it I have a 1-year-old, this is a 1-year-old Cherokee Purple, and more pepper plants, of course, because we do like our peppers. Up above, I will pan up. These are my growing racks. In the spring, I put my seedlings up here, and when they're all done, I move my herbs up here. This is Greek oregano. We've got sage. The other side of my greenhouse, let me pan up. You may or may not be able to see that. I have my, well, you can't see it from this angle, but I've got a drying rack over there of my sunflowers that I've produced this year. So they're all drying out. On the other side of my mass, I have my beans and lettuce and more tomatoes and more peppers. I've got 2-year-old basil plants that, again, if you just keep them pinched back so they don't produce seeds and flowers, they will continue to live as long as they have light and heat. Hopefully you have found this video enlightening, educational, and maybe entertaining as well. Leave me any feedback or comments, any questions I will answer on how you too can construct for yourself an area that you can grow fruits and vegetables year-round. Thank you.